Hello everyone and welcome to the live TA session, problem solving session for forests and their management. Today we are at week 10 for this course. So we'll be solving week 10 question and answer sessions. Some of the example and old assignment quizzes from the previous lectures have been solved from week 1 to week 9. The class is scheduled for Saturday 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. unless earlier notified to the students. I apologize for not being present on Saturdays for last consecutive classes. So today we are here back on track with lecture week 10, where we are learning about seed selection and plantation. This course is brought to you by NPTEL, and the instructor for this course is Professor Ankur Avadia at IIT Kanpur. And my name is Ashutosh Behra. I am a teaching assistant, PMRF scholar for at IIT Kanpur. So NPTEL has collaborated with PMRF scholars for completing their deliverables. As a PMRF scholar, we have the deliverable of teaching outside our institution and imparting our knowledge via teaching various courses. So NPTEL has collaborated with us to allow us to assist the NPTEL students, those who have enrolled in, for live TA sessions. So I hope all of you should join in large numbers. This call is open to everyone. So please join and ask your friends and others who are enrolled in this course or auditing this course to join in this live TA session. These TA sessions are conducted as such that the students can derive maximum benefit. These are doubt clearing sessions, these are problem solving sessions. If you have any doubt retaining to any topic during these lecture sessions, you can ask me and other TAs for any other course in NPTEL. So today we are here to solve week 10 of which is seeding and plantation in the silvicultural management of the course forest and their management. So the students who are new here and those who have earlier joined my previous classes, a particular set of instructions I want to give all of you. So please understand that this is a recorded class, and the recordings of this class as well as the material and presentations that I'll be using for this online TA solving session, problem solving session, will be provided to you. The videos or recordings of this whole class will be in YouTube and will be supplied to you. The link will be supplied to you by the NPTEL authorities, as well as the materials that I am providing or that I am going to present in and discuss in this class will be provided to you in a drive link. Nevertheless, I advise everyone to join the live class and ask and clear your doubts, participate in the discussion. Throughout this class, please turn off your mic and video chat for smooth conduction of this session. Let me be the only one who is speaking up. You can communicate with me through the chat box. Please type your answers, your doubts, your queries in the chat box. And this is the style that we are going to follow throughout this session. I have prepared 10 multiple choice questions from old assignments pertaining to this lecture week 10, and one by one we will discuss. I'll post these questions in the presentation window, and you have to tell me what is the correct answer to this question. You have to mention your correct answer. You have to mention your answer in the chat box, and then I can reveal what is the correct answer to this question, and we will move forward. So general set of instructions for those who have joined anew, as well as those who are joining from previous sessions as well. Please turn off your mic and video chat for smooth conduction of this session, and let me be the only one who is talking. You can interact with me via the chat box. Okay, so it's 3:05 p.m. Let us wait 5 more minutes for all the students who are trying to join this class, and we will start the class very soon in 5 minutes. Okay, meanwhile you settle down, join the link. If you have joined successfully, ask your friends to join as well and participate in this live TA session. Okay, I think we should start this session, and people will be joining meanwhile. Whoever gets a chance to join, please join the class, as well as if you know anyone who has registered for this course, then please ask them to join, because a live session will always provide better understanding and a platform to clear your doubts. Okay, so with that, let us start today's session, where we are going to see some questions from lecture week 10, where Professor Ankur Avadhya in this course of forests and their management has discussed about seed selection, plantation, and nursery planting and planting techniques. All these topics have been covered between module in this module with the span of 3 lectures. So let me just share my screen, and please interact with me or answer the questions via the chat box, which I'll be monitoring closely. I hope everyone can see my screen and see the slides changing, as well as is able to hear me clearly. Can you hear me clearly and the slides are okay? Just let me know with a thumbs up or a yes in the chat box, and then we can begin this class. Very good. Thank you, Yash. So, once again, I welcome you all to Forests and Their Management live TA session, where we are in the week 10 of this course. 2 more weeks to go, week 11 and 12 to complete this course. And there will also be an extra class for all your doubts, which will be on Sunday and which will be announced to you by the NPTEL. So my name is Ashutosh Behra. I'm a PMRF scholar at IIT Kanpur, who is the teaching assistant for this course. Along with me, Garima from IISc is another PhD scholar who is also a TA for this course, Forest and their Management. So this is going to be the format of the presentation or the problem solving session. I have prepared 10 multiple choice questions from these lectures, from old assignments and older URLs, older problems from this course, and we will look at it one by one. These are multiple choice questions, very similar to what you are doing it in your quizzes and in the final examination as well. Only one option is correct. Once I post the question and read it out aloud, you have to tell me what is the correct answer to these questions. You can mention your correct answer in the chat box, and then I will reveal what is the correct answer in 30 seconds or a minute, taking some time and collecting all the answers. Then we will understand why the correct answer is the correct answer. Okay, and meanwhile we will clear all our doubts pertaining to that topic and the question. Understood? Cool. Okay, let us start with question number 1. Question number 1: wet and dry treatment of seeds is used for which species? Understood the question? Wet and dry treatment of seeds is used for which species? Option A, Amla. Option B, Mango. Option C, Bear. Option D, Teak. or option 1, 2, 3, 4. Wet and dry treatment. Which of these species needs a wet and dry treatment of the seeds, which is then used for silviculture or plantation? Okay, take some time and post your answers in the chat box. Let me know what do you think is the correct answer. You can just write A B C D 1 2 3 4 or the name of the tree. Which of these seeds needs a wet and dry treatment? What is a wet and dry treatment? Everything you will understand when I reveal what is the correct answer to this question. Okay, let us wait 30 seconds and then come back to this question to find out what is the correct answer. Okay, I think that's enough time for this question. Wet and dry treatment of seeds is used for which species? Any answers in the chat box? I think students are shying out. Okay, let me tell you what is the correct answer to this question. Wet and dry treatment of seeds is used for teak species. Teak species seeds need a wet and dry treatment. Not amla, not mango, not bear. We will look at it how teak seeds are prepared for germination and for seed planting in the silvicultural system. Now, what is a seed? What are the parts of the seeds, and why does it needs a wet and dry treatment or any prior treatment before germination and plantation? So, what does a treatment of the seed means? Breaking the dormancy in seeds for silviculture is essentially to ensure high volume, uniform, and fast germination of forest tree species. So, when you want to plant a teak forest, which are long slender trees, saguan trees, which will give you timber, what do you need from the seeds? You need to plant your seeds in such a manner that ensures high volume, uniform, and fast germination of these forest species. Now, if you look at a seed, the seed has many parts. First is the outermost layering, which is hard, which is called the seed coat, and inside the seed coat it is a protective layer which protects the cotyledons. Cotyledons are the ones which grows up into a full plant. Then we have the hypocotyle, the plumule, and the radicle, which grows into the shoot and root of the plant, while cotyledon provides the nourishment to the growing plant. And then we have other types of seeds with endosperm, which helps in nourishment of the embryo, as well as plumule, hypocotyle, and radicle. So, what is it we are trying to achieve with seed treatment? We are trying to remove the seed coat or crack open the seed coat for the cotyledon to grow, for the hypocotyle, plumule, radicle, for the embryo of the tree to grow. Seed coat toughness, which is the reason for physical dormancy, causes seed dormancy by creating an impermeable barrier to water, oxygen, and gas exchange. So, within this seed coat is enclosed the embryo, which is impermeable by the seed coat to water, oxygen, or gas exchange, which protects the seed from harsh conditions. But during germination, we need the seed coat to break so that the cotyledons or the embryo of the plant grows out. So, seed coat, though protective, also prevents germination even under favorable conditions. Toughness is often caused by thickened lignified cell layers such as palisade layers and phenolic compounds which strengthen the seed coat and delay water uptake. Now, why is the seed coat so tough? Because of lignified cell layers. The cell wall of the seed coat is very thick. It is reinforced with compounds like lignin and phenolic compounds, palisade parenchyma layers. These are all biological molecules which provide strength to the cell wall, the strong cell wall of the seed coat. And why do we need to damage or break the seed coat for the cotyledons? Because to break the dormancy in seeds for silviculture is essential to ensure high volume, uniform and fast germination of forestry species. Okay, now we understood that what is a seed, which is harbored by the hard covering of the seed coat, which does not let germination happen because it is impermeable to gases, to water, and even under favorable conditions we need to crack open the seed coat, or we need to permeabilize the seed coat for the seed to germinate. Now what happens in teak trees, and what is this wet dry treatment? Wet dry treatment literally translates to alternating soaking and drying methods. This is a highly effective pre-sowing method for teak seeds, which is Tectona grandis, to break the dormancy and improve germination, often resulting in over success rates. So these are the teak seeds that I am showing on the right here. These teak seeds have a hard seed coat. They often need alternate soaking and drying periods, pre-sowing method, for which results in good success rates for germination. The best method involves a 48-hour cycle in cold water followed by 48 hours of sun drying for 10 to 15 days, or alternating 12-hour wetting and drying for 21 days. You see, the seeds have to be treated for such a long time in hot and cold water, which is the wet and dry treatment, for making the seed coat impermeable and allowing the cotyledons and the embryo to germinate out. Now, what are the best practices for wet dry treatment? Soak seeds in water for 48 hours, followed by 48 hours of sun drying on a concrete floor. You first soak the seeds in water and then you dry it in the sun. And you do it alternatively, which is known as the wet dry treatment. What is the duration? The duration can be as long as 12 to 15 days or 2 weeks. Continuing this alternating process allows the hard shell to break and weather, facilitating moisture intake. Now, what is the result? This process acts as a form of weathering which increases cell expansion and contraction to speed up enzyme activity, according to studies on teak germination. So that is why teak seeds, which are very hard, they require this wet and dry treatment, alternating soaking and drying, for effective germination. So the correct answer is teak seed, which is used for wet drying treatment. Is it clear to the students? I hope you understood this. If you could understand it, then let me know with a yes or no, or with a like. Then we can move ahead to the next question. Very good. Thanks, Yash and Kavita. Okay, let us look at the second question and try to participate, give some answers. Question number 2. Which of these is not a laboratory method to determine best days for seed collection? Understood the question? Which of these is not a laboratory method to determine which are the best days for seed collection? Option A, maximum dry weight. Option B, color of fruits. Option C, moisture content of fruits. Or option D, chemical analysis of fat and nitrogen content. Which of these is not a laboratory method but a field view method for determining best days for seed collection? Please write your answers in the chat box, whatever you think is the correct answer, and I'll come back in a minute to tell you what is the correct answer in this question. Okay, let us come back to this question and check people who have answered. Surprise, I don't see much answers. I don't see any answer as well. Okay, maybe you are again shy to write your answer. Please write your answer even if it is a wrong answer. It's nothing to be ashamed of. We will look at what is the correct answer and explain it in such a way so that you do not commit the mistake again. Okay? So the question was, which of these is not a laboratory method to determine best days for seed collection? Correct answer is option B, color of fruits. Looking at the color of fruits and determining the best day for seed collection is not a lab method, whereas it is a field view method. While the all other three methods are lab methods, to take the maximum dry weight of the seed or fruits, to look at the moisture content of the fruits, and chemical analysis of fat and nitrogen content is also done to test whether seed collection timing is perfect for this species or not. Now let us understand each of these procedures. Now, what are the different lab methods that are used for screening viable seeds? Lab methods for determining the best days for seed collection include assessing maturity and viability through tetrazolium or biochemical tests like TZ biochemical tests, X-ray radiography, and moisture content measurement. So, chemical analysis of whether the seed is alive or dead, and the nitrogen and the nutrient content inside the seed. These techniques determine the exact timing of the physiological maturity, aiming for peak seed quality before dispersal. So you only select those seeds which are viable and ensure maximum germination capability before dispersal. You want to select the best seeds and peak quality seeds. Key lab techniques include tetrazolium test, where tetrazolium is a biochemical staining technique where TZ salts stain live cells red, distinguishing viable embryo in 24 to 48 hours. So now if you have collected a group of seeds and you do this tetrazolium test where you dip it in the tetrazolium solution for 28 to 48 hours, this is a biochemical staining technique in which the live seeds will take up the tetrazolium, which will appear red colored, while the dead cells will remain colorless or will not pick up the red color. Thus, you can actively select viable seeds from the seeds collection. Then comes X-ray radiography, a non-destructive fast method to detect field empty or insect damaged seeds using contrast agents to confirm seed maturity. Using agents like barium chloride to generate an X-ray, the first row shows seeds which are viable and filled with the endosperm and the cotyledon, whereas in the second row we can see that seeds which are empty or and seeds which are insect damaged we can see in the lowest row through X-ray radiography using barium chloride. And the third is the moisture content testing using a hot air oven or rapid moisture meters to measure when the moisture drops, indicating ripeness. So these are all the different lab techniques that are being used to determine what are the best days for seed collection and viable seeds. What are the field methods? Fruit color is a critical field view method for estimating internal seed quality. It is not a lab method, but it's often used as a field view method for measuring or estimating internal seed quality, signaling maturity, germination potential, and nutrient accumulation. So, if you start from a fruit which is unripe, we can see it is green in color, greenish color, then it turns yellowish color, and you can also see correspondingly how the seed color and maturity changes upon ripening of the fruit. In brownish yellow and finally the brown color, the seeds are the most fertile or mature, and these can then be planted into the ground for restoration of the forest. Generally, red, dark brown or yellow brown trees, yellow brown to red fruits indicate full maturation and high quality seeds. So those plants or trees which will have full maturation, their fruits will appear yellowish to red to orange or brownish, and this is an indication of high quality seeds within that fruit. while green or pale fruits indicate immature seeds with lower vigor. So you may not want to take seeds from a green papaya or a mango rather than a reddish mango with ripe features and the seed being very active and ripe for germination. So, fruit color judgment by fruit color is a field view method rather than a laboratory tested or laboratory tested method or science backed method. Is it clear to the students? If yes, then let me know with a like or a yes in the comment box. Very good. Okay. Now let us look at question number 3. What does question number 3 poses for us? Which of these characterizes a refractory site? Understood the question? Which of these characterizes a refractory site? Option 1, soil depth less than 10 centimeters. Option 2, soil depth 10 to 30 centimeters. And option 3, cell depth greater than 30 centimeter. Or option D, none of these. Which of these characteristics based on the soil depth is known as a refractory site? What does a refractory site have in common characteristics? Let us take some time to collect some answers in the comment box. People who have participated, please try to answer. It's okay if your answer is wrong, do not need to feel shy. You don't have to turn on your video or mic. You can just quietly post your answer in the chat box, which will be followed. Let me come back to this question in a minute and tell you what is the correct answer. Okay, it's time to come back to this question and look at it. Which of these characterizes a refractory site? Let us see if people have answered. Okay, Kavita says option A. Very good. Let us see what is the correct answer. No more answers in the chat box. Which of these characterizes a refractory site? Option A is the correct answer. Soil depth less than 10 centimeter characterizes a refractory site. Well done, Kavita. Your answer was correct. Option A, soil depth less than 10 centimeter is the correct answer. Now let us understand how do we pick sites for plantation or nursery plantation, and what do we mean by a refractory soil. A refractory soil with a depth of less than 10 centimeter indicates a highly restrictive layer such as rock or hard pan located just below the surface. Understood? That is why it is called the refractory soil, because immediately after digging, only within 10 centimeters you will hit rocks. So if there is bedrock or hard pan rocks, then such a layer or such an area is called a refractory area or refractory site. This creates extreme challenges including very low water storage, severe erosion susceptibility, and limited rooting volume for crops. Because because of the less amount of soil or more amount of bedrock that has come up, this these kind of areas create extreme challenges for rooting or volume of crops. You can see here in the first panel we have 10 centimeter soil thickness. So this is an example of a refractory site. Immediately upon digging you find or you hit rocks. Then 30 centimeter soil thickness and 50 centimeter soil thickness. 50 centimeter more than 30 centimeter is ideal for planting your crops and your plantation for the better germination. And there are variety of thickness of the soil in areas like mounds, So this is a refractory soil region with a depth less than that of 10 centimeter. Is a restrictive layer with rock or hardpan just below it, and it doesn't grow any crops. Now the refractory site is a highly degraded or challenging area where artificial reforestation is difficult. Yes, as we would expect, because the soil is made up of bedrock, often characterized by severe nutrient deficiency, yes, which is it is, poor soil structure, and harsh moisture conditions. Option B. These sites common in post mining or eroded tropical areas require robust pioneer species and specialized site preparation to succeed. So uh, these rocky areas need special site preparation to succeed plantation of these crops. The bedrock the bedrock is thick and less amount of topsoil makes it unfavorable for plantation of saplings. So that is why you plant your saplings and nursery trees away from the away from the area of refractory site which has immediate bedrock only by 10 centimeters of digging. Okay, I think it is clear to the students that how the bedrock is there in the refractory site, not much soil to hold crops and stands together, and that is why uh, soil depth less than 10 centimeter is called a refractory site. Okay, very good. Thanks, Kavita. Moving on to the next question. Question number 4. Which of these prevents water logging? Okay, this is a question of turns. Which of these prevents water logging? Option A, sunken bed. Option B, raised bed. Option C, plant. Option C, flat bed. And option D, all of these. Which of these bed techniques or nursery techniques, I have given the hint, prevents water logging of the plants and saplings? Okay, let's take some time, and students, please post your answers in the chat box. I will come back to this question in a minute and tell you what is the correct answer. Okay, coming back to this question, which of these prevents water logging? Let us check people who have answered. I can see Kavita has answered option B. Let us see what is the correct answer to this question. Which of these prevents water logging? Correct answer is option B, raised bed. Again, Kavita, your answer is correct. Raised bed is a technique which prevents water logging. So we apply it in areas which or species which do not need much water and which absolutely do not need stagnant water. Now, what is the raised bed technique or raised bed nursery? The picture above that you see is a raised bed nursery in which it's a rectangular specialized elevated planting area used to nurture seeds or cuttings. It's rectangular, it's an elevated area continuous with the ground soil, and it is specialized for the plantings and used to nurture these seeds or cuttings before transplanting them into the silvicultural forest. These beds or raised beds are elevated 15 to 30 centimeters above ground level, typically enclosed by wood, bricks of bamboo, to improve the soil drainage, enhancing aeration, and prevent waterlogging during rainy periods. Because you see, whenever there will be rains or whenever there will be irrigation water, no water can remain stagnant on this ridge or elevated raised bed. It will always flow out into the channels, giving the ample amount of water that is needed, for the plants, but draining the excess amount of water into the channels. Now, what are the advantages of using a raised bed system? The first advantage is improved drainage. The elevated structure allows excess water to drain away, preventing stagnant water that causes root rot. So, what happens in many species where you do not need water all the time? Then you have a disease called root rot. The roots start to rot and erode away due to the waterlogging. So, in a raised bed plantation system, the improved drainage is achieved with elevated structure that allows excess water to drain away. Better aeration. The raised, typically loose soil provides better oxygen supply to the roots compared to be packed, low lying ground. So, using a raised bed also gives us better aeration and better oxygen supply to roots compared to the packed low lying ground, because now the roots are also exposed to the air well uh, in the elevated beds. Disease management. By reducing the water stagnation, raised beds lower the risk of waterborne fungal infections and soil-borne diseases. So overall, the plant diseases are also monitored using a raised bed strategy here. Optimal growth conditions. They warm up faster in the spring, allowing for earlier and healthy seedling development. And easy maintenance. Defined beds with pathways prevent soil compaction, making it easier to weed, water, and manage crops without damaging them. So, raised bed system has so many advantages. It has improved drainage, strategy for better aeration of the crops, better disease management, optimizing the growth conditions, and easy maintenance. I hope it is clear to the students. You guys have answered correctly that it's a raised bed system. So, but we understood what are the advantages, how the raised bed system is done, and if yes, then let us move forward. You let me know with a like or a chat in the chat box, and we will move forward. Very good. Thanks, Kavita. Moving on to the next question. Question number 5. Number of seeds in sample that germinate up to the peak germination period, expressed as percentage, is a definition of dash. What is known as the number of seeds in the sample that germinate up to the peak germination period, expressed as percentage, is a definition of. Post your answers in the comment box and I'll be back to tell you what is the correct answer. Okay, let's come back to this question. Number of seeds in sample that germinate up to the peak germination period expressed as percentage is a definition of dash which process. Let us check the comment box if people have answered. I can see that Kavita has answered germination energy and Hitesh also answers germination energy. Okay. Now what is the correct answer to this question? Number of seeds in the sample that germinate up to peak germination period expressed as percentage is a definition of germination energy. Again, Hitesh and Kavita are correct. Their answers are correct. This is known as germination energy. Number of seeds or saplings in a sample that can grow up to peak germination period, and expressing that as a percentage means out of hundreds of sons or thousands of sons or embryos, okay. Now let us understand what is germination energy. Germination energy refers to the percentage of seeds that germinate up to the peak germination period, indicating seed vigor and speed of germination. Germination energy is a mark for seed vigor, how vigorous or how healthy the seed is, and speed of germination, because we want our forest to grow very fast. In contrast, if you look at the other options, which is the germination percentage, which is defined as total number of seeds germinated by the end of the test or by the end of period. Total number of seeds that have successfully germinated is the germination percentage. Germination number or power are less standard or used differently depending on context. But germination energy refers to the percentage of the seeds that germinate to the peak germination period. So for an example, if you take 100 seeds and sow them and record the germination daily, then what is the peak germination period? Let's say in day 1 you have 10 seeds germinated per day. So the cumulative germination is 10. In day 2 you have 25 seeds germinated per day. Therefore, now the total germination is 35, which is 25 plus 10. In a day 3 you get 30 seeds germinated per day, and in the cumulative germination you get 65 trees or 65 seeds that have germinated. In day 4 you have 15 seeds germinated per day, and in day 5 only 5 seeds germinated per day, with the cumulative germination of 80 to 85. Now which is the peak day of germination? So if you look at this curve for number of total number of seeds that have been germinated, you will find an increase curve, a diagonally increasing curve. But if you correlate with the seeds germinated per day, you will find a bell-shaped curve in which seeds germinated per day to the maximum germination potential can be located at the top of the peak in a bell-shaped curve, and seeds getting under germination and over germination lie at the two tails of the histogram. The peak germination period is day 3, where maximum seeds germinated in a day is equal to 30. So the cumulative seeds germinated up to day 3 is equal to 65. So now the germination energy would be 65 by 100 into 100 is equal to 65%. I hope it is clear to the students what is germination energy, how it is calculated. Maximum seeds germinated in a day, that is the peak of the germination, and total number of seeds which are growing up till the peak of germination is the germination energy. Okay, thanks Kavita for that thumbs up. Now let us move to the next question, question number 6. Which of these conserves moisture? Again, planting techniques. Which of these techniques conserves moisture? Option A, sunken bed. Option B, raised bed. Option C, flat bed. Option D, all of the above. Understood the question? Which of these technique will conserve the most moisture or is used with the aim of conserving moisture? Is it sunken bed, raised bed, flat bed, or all of these techniques? Take your time and tell me what is the correct answer to this question. You can type your answers in the chat box. Okay, let's come back to this question. Question number 6. Which of these conserves moisture? Let's look at what are the answers in the comment box. Kavita has answered sunken bed, option A, and there are no more answers. Okay, let me tell you what is the correct answer to this question. Which of these techniques conserves moisture? Correct answer is option A, sunken bed. Option A is the correct answer. Kavita again has answered correctly. Sunken bed is a technique which is used to preserve moisture. In contrast to the earlier question where we saw the raised bed techniques which involves drainage of good drainage of the system and no waterlogging, but here is a sunken bed which wants or which preserves moisture by its design and doing waterlogging. Now what are the three types of plantation beds that we are talking about? First comes the flat bed, a level uniformly prepared surface ideal for areas with adequate water and no drainage problems. This is a flat seedbed. Then comes the raised beds, ridges of elevated soil that provide superior drainage and aeration, making them ideal for heavy rainfall areas, wet soil, or root crops. So, when do you select a raised bed? When you have different types of crops like root crops, which need aeration in their roots, areas which have high rainfall, and wet soil, so you need better drainage. So, there you choose raised beds. And sunken beds, depressions in the soil useful in dry, arid regions to conserve moisture and protect seedlings from harsh winds. So, sunken seedbed, the pits or depressions are dug inside the earth, and there are saplings that are planted. It is mainly useful in dry and arid regions with less rainfall to conserve the moisture and protect seedlings from direct wind, because wind can blow from one direction and from any other direction to destroy the saplings. So if you plant it at a depth from the ground level, it not only prevents moisture or makes the groundwater level available, but also prevents the saplings from wind erosion. Now, in a sunken bed, here is an example of a sunken bed. In a sunken bed nursery, which is a specialized gardening technique where seed beds are dug 10 to 15 cm below the ground level, ideal for arid, dry, or windy climates. This method conserves moisture, reducing the water consumption, protects seedling from desiccating winds, and provides cooler soil temperatures, making it highly effective for dry season planting. This is also done in dry season planting. What is the purpose of a sunken bed? Primarily used to conserve water, which was a question of our interest, and protect the young plants in hot, windy environments by creating a valley that keeps soil moist and cool. Now, how do you construct a sunken bed? Dig down approximately 10 to 15 centimeter, often using a wooden structures or borders to prevent sides from collapsing. And of the components of the sunken bed system often involves adding organic material, compost, or nutrients and water retention. For often involves adding organic material, compost for nutrients and water retention, along with mulch to reduce the evaporation. So these are the different components present in the sunken bed. You add compost, you add organic material for water retention for good growth of the plants, and you also add some of the mulch to reduce the evaporation. What is the ideal timing of using this sunken bed system? Perfect for winter or dry seasons, as opposed to raised beds, which are better off for rainy seasons. Now we are able to understand what is the difference between a raised bed and a sunken bed, and what are the time and the season and the species where these kind of plantation strategies can be alternated. Is it clear to the students? We learnt about the raised bed system, the flat bed system, and the sunken bed system, and how the raised bed prevents waterlogging while the sunken bed preserves moisture and collects the water. Very good. Let us move on to the next question. Question number 7. Agave is used for dash. Agave is used for dash. Option A, barbed wire fencing. Option B, live fencing. Option C, chain link fencing. Option D, stone wall fencing. Which kind of fencing is done with agave? I think you better off know what is an agave. Do mention your answers in the chat box, and I will revisit this question to tell you what is the correct answer. Okay, coming back to this question, agave is used for which kind of fencing? Let us check the answers in the comment box. Kavita is saying that maybe option B is correct. Okay, let us see what is the correct answer to question number 7? Agave is used for live fencing. Option B is the correct answer. Well done. So agave is a bushy thorny plant with wide leaves, broad leaves, and it is quite preferred for live fencing around the nursery or the plantation. Barbed wire fencing, chain link fencing, stone wall fencing are artificial fencing techniques, while live fencing is a biologically favorable, done with living plants and trees, which are bushes and plants which form good barrier and serving its purpose as live fencing. So, live fencing or biofencing is an eco friendly, cost effective method of using dense, thorny, or hardy plants to form secure boundaries around nurseries, preventing intrusion by animals and people. So, this is the plant agave, which is used here for live fencing of this nursery plantation. Is an eco friendly, cost effective method using dense and thorny or hardy plants. This is a dense bush, dense plant which has thorn, spiky, spiny leaves, and these kind of plants are the best choice for forming a boundary around nursery. It will prevent intruders like animals and other people. Agave americana or the century plant is widely used as a hardy, low maintenance, and cost effective live fence for nurseries and agricultural land, providing a strong natural barrier against intruders and livestock. Because once your seedlings or saplings are planted in a nursery, you do not want them to be destroyed by livestock by grazing. So then you have to fence your nursery area. An agave plant serves as a bush of live fencing and biofencing. The spiky succulent is ideal for arid environments, offering high security with its thick, sharp edged leaves. So its leaves are thick and sharp edged, and it is usually ideal for arid and dry environments. Now, what are some other types of fencing we can use to protect our nursery and plantation? We can use a barbed wire fencing. We can use fencing by nets. This is a stone wall fencing. And the other example that we heard of is a chain links fencing, where we have chains and links connecting each other. And a net can be also be used for fencing. All of these are artificial fencing methods, while planting agave or acacia or thorny bushes and plants is a live fencing or a biofencing method. Is it clear to the students? Can you understand it? We learnt about different types of fencing and how agave is used for biofencing to protect our nurseries. If it's clear to everyone, then we will move ahead to the next question. Let me know with a like or yes in the chat box and we will move ahead. Very good. Okay, looking at question number 8. Shell cracking of seeds is used for which species? Again, a memory based question. Shell cracking of seeds is used for which species? Option A, amla. Option B, mango. Option C, bear. Option D, teak. So this is another method for seed preparation. Shell cracking. Which of these species of seeds need a shell cracking? Okay, coming back to this question, let us find out what are the answers that have been posted. I don't see any answers. Okay, Kavita is saying option D. Let us check what is the correct answer to this question. Shell cracking of the seeds is used for option C, bear species. Bear or jujube usually uses shell cracking seed preparation before sowing. So it's not option D, teak. Teak is used for wet and dry treatment, seed treatment, whereas bear is done for shell cracking technique. Okay. Now, what is shell cracking? Shell cracking, which is also known as scarification, is a seed preparation technique used to break or soften hard outer coats, which is a seed coat, as we saw in the first question itself, which will allow the moisture and air to enter, which speeds up germination and improves the success rates of these seeds. Now, common methods include lightly sanding with sandpaper, filing using a needle to scratch, or gently pressing with pliers, often following a 12 to 24 hour of soaking. So, in shell cracking techniques, you crack open the shell with a sandpaper filing or scratching, or gently pressing or cracking open with a nutcracker or a pliers to remove or abrase or damage the part of the seed coat, allowing the embryo to be in contact with moisture and air and water. Often it is followed by soaking in 12 to 24 hours post cracking. Now this is the bear fruit, which is common delicacy throughout India. This is the season for bear. Ripe bear you can see find in many forests and trees. Here in my campus as well, I can see ripe bear. We make achar out of it. We eat it just like that with salt and chili powder. It's a tasty snack and it's also healthy. But the seeds are very hard. If you have eaten a bear, you can know the bear seeds are very hard. And for germination, for active sowing into a forest or a silvicultural practice, we need to treat this seed with a mechanical abrasion technique, which is the shell cracking. Bare Indian jujube seeds are prepared for planting by cracking their hard endocarp, which is a shell, to significantly accelerate germination from 20 to 30 days to around 10 days. So you are reducing the germination time by 50%. You are accelerating the germination. It generally takes 20 to 30 days to grow, but with shell cracking of the jujube seed or bear seed, you can grow it in 10 days, the germination. This process, known as mechanical scarification, involves carefully breaking the stone using tools like hammer or vice grips to extract 2-3 kernels inside without damaging them. You can either just crack the seed open and then put it in the soil, or you can carefully extract 2-3 kernels of the seed without damaging them. Anything can be done, but this is a mechanical scarification process. And bare seeds, which are very hard enough, if went for plantation, will help. Will need seed cracking or seed cracking techniques before sowing. I hope it is clear to the students. If yes, then let me know with a like or a chat yes in the chat, and we will move forward. Very good. Moving towards the ninth question. Question number 9. Choice of spacing is dependent upon dash. Choice of spacing is dependent upon dash. Option A, objective of the plantation. Option B, site species matching. Option C, growth rate of the species. And option D, all of these. Which factors are you going to consider while determining the spacing of the individuals in a silviculture forest? Choice of spacing. What are the factors you need to take into account? Okay, post your answers in the chat box. Let's take a minute and come back to this question to reveal what is the correct answer to this question. Sorry. Okay, I think it is time that we look at this question back again. Choice of spacing is dependent upon which of these factors? Let us check what are the answers in the chat box. Kavita has answered option D, all of these. Okay. Correct answer to this question, choice of spacing, is dependent upon all of these factors. Option D is the correct answer. It will depend upon what is the objective of the plantation, what kind of tree, or what is the purpose of doing this plantation, what is the site species matching, whether the soil, whether the environment, whether the temperature, humidity, rainfall is matching the species of the tree that we are trying to grow, will also depend upon how we space these samples or saplings, and what is the growth rate of these trees, whether they grow fast or whether they grow slow. All these factors will affect the choice of our spacing while managing a silvicultural forest. Now let us look at each of these in detail. What can be different objectives of the plantation and how the plantation spacing can change? The purpose of the planting determines how close or far apart these trees should be. Timber production, which requires straight tall trees, requires closer spacing. For example, teak planted at 2 meter cross 2 meter to encourage upward growth and reduce branching. So you want good timber where you want good bole of the tree with lesser branches. So you do a close spacing where teak trees, such as in this plantation, in this image you can see, are very closely spaced within 2 meters of the distance to promote upward growth and reduce the branching of the teak tree. Whereas for fruit production, you need bigger crowns or more fruit bearing or more branches of the trees. Wider spacing, for example, mango or apples or oranges planted at 8 to 10 meter spacings for canopy spread. You want to spread the canopy as much as possible. So 4 to 8 meters or 6 meter spacings is given in this diagram for a citrus tree. Or when you require fuel or pulp wood, very close spacing, for example eucalyptus, which is done at 1.5 meters to 1.5 meter spacing. So depending upon what is the objective of the plantation or the silvicultural management, whether you want timber, whether you want fruits or fuel wood, you can space your trees accordingly. If you need a greater canopy or a greater crown, or whether you need timber or straight tall trees. Now, depending upon the site species matching, the suitability of a species to soil, climate, and water affects spacing. For example, fertile soil, trees grows vigorously, need wider spacing, for example, poplar in irrigated fields, such as 5 meter into 4 meter spacing. Wherever there are poor or dry soil, where there is slower growth, there can be a closer spacing, for example, acacia trees placed in a 2 meter cross 2 meter 2 meter cross 2 meter area. Growth rate of certain species, for example, fast growing species need more space, slow growing species can be closer. For example, fast growing species of the neem tree, which I am showing here. Neem tree is a fast growing Indian tree. It is generally closely spaced along both sides of the roads to create a shade or cove kind of a structure, because it's fast growing and its canopy reaches to create a cove kind of a structure, giving shade to the roads and providing an aesthetic culture to the plantations or to the roadways. For example, eucalyptus, which are wider spacing to avoid competition, and slow growing species which are sandalwood or some hardwoods, closer spacing initially. So depending upon all these factors, you have to decide what is the spacing of your saplings that you are going to plant or plant in the plantation. Is it clear to the students? If yes, then let me know with a yes or a like in the chat box, and we can move ahead to the next question. Very good. Okay, let's look at the last question of this session. Question number 10. Which of these is a good storage condition? Option A, high moisture, high temperature. Option B, high moisture, low temperature. Option C, low moisture, high temperature. Option D, low moisture, low temperature. Which of these is a good storage condition? Let me give you another hint. By good storage condition, I mean good seed storage condition. Which are the conditions which will favor seed storage? Based on the moisture content, humidity, and the temperature. Understood the question? Post your answers in the chat box and I will revisit this question to tell you what is the correct answer. Which of these is a good seed storage condition or good storage condition? Let us revisit this question. Are there any answers in the chat box? I don't see any new answers. Okay, let us come back to this question. Which of these is a good storage condition? The correct answer is option D, low moisture and low temperature conditions. So, a seed storage warehouse or a seed storage area should have low moisture and low temperature conditions for preserving the seed. Now, this is a picture showing a seed storage warehouse. Optimal seed storage requires a cool, dry, and dark environment to maintain viability, generally aiming for a sum of temperature and relative humidity below 100. Ideal conditions are 0 to 15 degrees Celsius as low as with 25 to 40% of relative humidity. Very low humidity and low temperature. Seeds should be dried to 5 to 12% of moisture content and stored in airtight, moisture impervious containers. So because you know with the optimal temperature and with optimum moisture as well, the seeds will start germinating. So therefore, if you need to preserve seeds for a longer term storage, you need a lower temperature and lower moisture content so as to prevent germination of the seeds from happening. And only when you require the germination, you can prepare the seeds for treatment like soaking, like physical abrasion, like chemical scarring and acidification to then promote germination in the sapling soil feed. So a low temperature and low moisture content is a prerequisite for seed storage. Is it clear to the students? Yes, if yes, then with this we have come to the end of the question answer session. I'll stop presenting and come back to the call. Kavita was asking what is the correct answer. So the correct answer was low temperature, low moisture content, option D. That was the correct answer, Kavita. I hope you were able to follow because there was some network issue you were talking about. Correct answer was option D, low moisture and low temperature content. Okay, so with this we have come to the end of this session. We have solved 10 multiple choice questions from lecture week 10. where Professor Ankur Abadhya had 3 lectures in this module for seed selection and plantation. In the next week, coming Saturday 3 p.m., let's be ready to solve lecture week 11 and 2 more weeks left to complete this course. I'm happy that at least there are some of the people who are participating and trying to attend these classes. I hope it is easy to understand for everyone, and the concepts that we are clearing will help you in your examinations and in your quiz sessions. If you have any doubt or queries, you can ask me or write an email to me with the reviewer or you can raise your questions in the reviewer comments as well. If there are further no more questions, I will end this call for everyone. Let's meet next Saturday. Be prepared with the lecture week module 11, where we are going to solve some of the example and old assignment questions to get a strong grip and familiarity with these quizzing sessions. If you have any suggestions regarding the way I take the class or any suggestions to the slides that I prepare, then the suggestions are open. Otherwise, I will end this call. Thank you for joining. See you next Saturday with lecture week 11 problems.